Much for being here. I'm just going to start the recording. It is great to be thinking about sports. I know in the high school we started today. We have a whole week of athletics that are going to be happening here this week, and it was very exciting to see all the students again. And you maybe got some letters about homeroom classes and all that stuff today, so the kids are all fired up and excited. So we're excited as well. And so thank you for being here for seventh and eighth grade volleyball meeting. Again, quickly before we start, if you can get connected to GR Christian Eagles or Facebook or Instagram to follow Grand Rapids Christian, please do that. It's awesome when we can support each other by liking things and being excited for each other's children and other people in our community and spreading positive things through social media. Is such a great thing for us to do as Grand Rapids Christian community. So do that. Also, I'm going to put in the chat an email for Carolyn Grundyke. If you are interested in being part of the Eagles Sport Report, we have more than 2,000 people that receive this on a daily basis to hear what's going on in Grand Rapids Christian athletics. We don't report on the middle school there, so I'm not doing it so that we can do that, but just to get you plugged into what's happening in our community. The coaches send reports through there. We do cool announcements. We have fun facts and things that are happening around the district. And so it's just a great way to be connected to the Grand Rapids Christian community and to create some belonging and see what other people are up to through athletics at Grand Rapids Christian. So hopefully you can get connected to that in the chat. I put Carolyn's email. If you just email her, she will add you to that address. At Grand Rapids Christian, most of you know this. I appreciate having you here, but our philosophy is Christ, community, and commitment. Christ is the first and foremost. We do everything for him and for him and through him. And so that's our goal. Community, we're better together, not fighting each other, not battling each other, not solo and silos, but we're better together. So through Christ and our community, we can be together. And then commitment, where we want to be committed to this place, to each other, to what we're doing for the Lord in this world, just being committed. So those three C's of Christ, community, and commitment, they're a part of athletics as well. We want the kids to grow, to learn, to have opportunities to perform, to go through challenges, to go through difficulties, to fail, hopefully to succeed a little bit along the way, and to have that whole experience. We'll talk later about a great experience and how it includes all of those things. So that's what we want to do. Our coach's goal is to teach students about the game, to teach them the skills, teach them the strategies, help them through the ups and downs and the challenges, and to give them a perspective of what it's like to do God's work, even in the classroom of athletics. We want kids seeing that his work is happening through athletics, through teachers, through each other, and through competition, hopefully in a positive way in athletics. So that's kind of what we're after as we try to get better at sports, which is honestly not the most important thing at all in the scheme of life, but it's a fun thing we get to be a part of. And so hopefully sports can teach us those great lessons that we talked about in Christ, community, and commitment. A quick overview for anyone who's new. We're in competitive athletics at seventh and eighth grade, meaning we have A and B teams at both levels with developmentally appropriate, based on what the coaches believe of what they see for 3 days or so of tryouts, putting kids at the level where they think they can find the most success or be the most prepared for the next year or the next thing. Sometimes that means that in seventh and eighth grade, someone might be a B player because their position is loaded at the A, even though they're a really good player, they won't get the reps at the A team. So we might put them on the B team. So they're thinking about all of these things. How can we help this student become the best version of themselves this year and be most prepared for the next year? And so you may agree with how that works sometimes, and you may not. But that's kind of what we're trying to do. That's what the coaches are after as well. We play against other schools. We manage the coaches as an athletic department. We're very inclusive in nature. Everyone gets a part on a team, no matter what. My son is a seventh grader now and has autism, and he gets to participate on any team, like any sport that he would like. And it's fantastic that we're inclusive developmentally. We're inclusive in all ways. And so we're excited about that. We do the best that we can to serve all students. Even though we can't be perfect as we do that, we try our best. And in seventh and eighth grade, our commitment is about 4 days a week for athletics. And so In those 4 days, we're trying to practice or play games. So if we have 2 games in a week, we would have 2 practices that week. If we had 1 game, we'd try to have 3 practices. So, kind of stepping up the intensity of the sport. We're in, recreation was maybe 1 time a week in a game, and then fifth and sixth grade was kind of 3 times a week, and now in eighth, seventh, and eighth grade we're 4 times a week, and then ninth and 12th grade we're 5 to 6 times a week. So we're part of that process as well. And the best performing athletic programs in the country are the ones that have positive parent engagement. And so we want to partner with you. We're not trying to keep you at arm's length in any way, but we do want to make sure that we partner with you the best that we can in very good ways. So let's talk about tryouts. We should actually call them try-ins because everybody's a part of the team. Nobody is left out. But just specifically here, eighth grade, you guys start this week. Okay, so if you have an eighth grade daughter, you'll be starting on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We've promoted that since June when we did signups. Sent an email this summer, and now also talking about it again. But that will be 5 to 7 p.m. on Wednesday, 5 to 7 p.m. on Thursday, and 3:15 to 5 on Friday at GRCMS. The coach, Beth Kyle, will be sending out an informational email to everyone with that in it, and also that we will practice on Monday. All 3 teams will practice Monday as well, and it will be done before the open house. Some of you know there's a middle school open house at 6:30 p.m. So we're trying to practice between 3:15 and 5, and then 5 to 6:30. The open house starts around 6:30, and it is just that, an open house. There isn't a big formal program or anything like that. So the kids should be able to go right from practice to the open house with their friends. And so that will happen on Monday. Which time you have on Monday is still to be determined as an eighth grader because we haven't made the teams yet. So you'll have to wait and see, but the coaches will be on top of that on your behalf. Seventh grade, we're going to start our team formation on Tuesday the 19th from 5 to 6:30, Wednesday the 20th from 3:15 to 5, and then Thursday the 21st from 5 to 6:30. And Scott Miller will be sending out information to all of you about those dates and times with more specific information. Our coach meeting, just so you know, is Thursday evening, where I'm kind of working with all of our coaches. So they'll probably be emailing you Friday or Saturday about the upcoming week. So if you don't get anything between now and Thursday, don't worry. You kind of have the basic info, and they'll give you more detailed info this weekend. Okay. So that's how it works. In seventh and eighth grade this year, we have developmentally appropriate tournaments. So the teams will be split for our school, however we do it. They'll play the season, and then based on records, they'll be placed into 2 different tournaments that are developmentally appropriate for seventh and for eighth grade. The next year, if you're a seventh grader, you can be excited. We finally, after about 8 or 9 years of trying to do this, we're able to pass that the entire league will switch to a developmentally appropriate season, which is exciting. So that all year, students will play against other schools and teams that are at their development level. And so we're really excited about that change, but we're glad that they've started the process. Basketball will be the first sport that starts that this year, where the entire season will be split into those developmentally appropriate sections. So we're really excited about that. It's a great progress. It's taken a long time, but it's best for kids to play at their level. And I'd be happy to have that conversation with you some other time if you're interested in what went into that. So if there's any questions about the tryouts or something like that, right now is a good time to ask before we kind of go into the next segment of our meeting. I don't see anything in the chat. Does anybody have a question quick before we go forward? Okay. We're going to have 3 teams in eighth grade. We're going to have 3 teams in seventh grade, 1 A team at each level and 2 B teams at each grade level. So we're lucky to have, 6 eighth grade coaches and 6 seventh grade coaches. It was a task getting 18 head coaches and assistants hired this year. And we just appreciate the people that have done that. So in the vein of coaching, these people that are going to help lead our girls this fall, we're really excited to have them. Okay. They're going to do their best in team formation. It is human behavior. Sometimes the best players have bad days, and in tryout, that's tough. Sometimes players that aren't as good are heroes, and usually water levels at some point. And we hope that we get 2 to 3 days of enough volleyball in that we have the best chance to put kids where they can be successful for the season. And like I said before, also, if your daughter is a setter and there's three setters and two of them are better than your daughter, even though your daughter might be the third setter, she might be one of the top players. But if she wants to be a setter, we want to give her reps at being a setter. So we might have that girl move to a B team because she can get all of the reps at setter. I want to remind everyone that we aren't giving out scholarships and college offers to people in seventh and eighth grade. It's an opportunity to grow, it's an opportunity to try, and reps are the most important thing. Last year, as a great example, we had a parent say, I would like my son, who's probably going to be the 10th player on the A team out of 10 players, to be a B team player so that he can play the whole, like pretty much the whole game. And what a great thought. I mean, the kid played a ton. He was able to help his teammates. He got to play the position he wants to play, and he got a ton of reps. So, there's some great examples of how this can work well, and we can use middle school athletics to help our kids have opportunities. And so we hope you'll join our coaches as they try to see that. They'll talk to your daughter about positions and things like that too. Practice schedules. Your coach will be your point of contact. Okay, so I would love to speak to all of you all of the time, but if I do that for everyone in all of our sports, it'd be hard for me to make it through the day. So what I need you to do is work with your coach first. So once you're put on a team, that will be your first point of contact for questions about schedule and things like that. You'll be on TeamSnap. You've all used TeamSnap with our school before, so you know that it works. If you're new to our school, you'll be invited. Just accept the invite. You'll be placed on the team once team formation is done next week or this week for eighth grade. And then you'll have a point of contact for your questions. There'll be a schedule in there with all your practices. It will send you reminders, things like that about when your practices are. Your games will be loaded in there by the league when they finalize the schedule. And the first games, just so you know, are probably the Saturday after Labor Day. All right, the first matches of the season. So until then, it's kind of practice. So we're going to try to get the girls 4 practices a week, each week leading up to that first game, that first match on Saturday. So you can kind of pencil that in. We can't finalize all the practice schedules. So if it's like some people have a question like, is there like a regular day that my team is going to practice? It's really hard for me to say that right now because, like I said, we have 3 teams at every level. I don't know which team your daughter is going to be on, and each one of those coaches has a job or a family or a night class or, something like that that makes like I can't give them this time or whatever. So once we know the game schedule and once we know who your coach is, then your practice schedule becomes a little bit more set. We try to keep it as regular as we can. Like if you're always Monday at 6:30, we try to do that as much as possible. Understand we have 12 teams for 2 courts at our gym. We have 12 volleyball teams in 5th through 8th grade, 18 coaches or assistant coaches. And it's just tough for me to do that on a regular basis with 2 courts. And we have to host games on certain nights. So we try to keep it consistent, but sometimes it's a challenge. Just follow your TeamSnap schedule as best you can. If you have conflicts, make sure you're communicating that well with your coach. And also just wanted to note like about playing time. It's a question people often have. Most of you have been here before, so starting in 5th and 6th grade, we stopped doing equal playing time for everyone all the time. And in 7th and 8th grade, it's the same. There is a minimum amount of serves that every girl gets to play in every match. And our goal as a coaching staff is to try to beat that minimum for every kid on every team, right? We don't want to play to the minimum. Obviously, there's certain situations in volleyball that make it tough. Like if a girl rattles off 14 serves in a row, which does happen, so that shortens the game drastically, right? And there's all of a sudden not as many points, and it's harder to get everybody in. And we can't always foresee those situations. And so, although there is, we play the games to 25 points, sometimes there's only 28 points played instead of 50, And so, so it's really tough to always get everybody past the minimums if you have a big team, but that's definitely our goal. But please make sure you understand, like everybody wants to play with the best players because the best setters, the best passers, the best hitters, they make the game hum a little better, and your child can have more success when those people when you're in with them. And so, if we do the math on that, those kids have to be in more often than some of the other kids. So, it's not going to be equal. Um, but at the same time, we're trying to still follow, we're going to follow all of those rules. And if your coach for some reason is not following that playing time rule, it's important for you to let me know that. You don't need to confront the coach face to face after the match and give him a bunch of grief about it. Just let me know. I can look into it with the coach and we can figure out what's going on. There's often a lot more to the story than maybe what meets the eye. So please let me know about those sorts of things because we want all the kids to be participating. Although it won't be equal, hopefully we're able to beat the minimums. Okay. And so working with coach, I mentioned like not confronting coach. A couple things to say about coaches. Like I'm a varsity golf coach here at Grand Rapids Christian. I've been a varsity basketball coach. I've done 20 plus seasons of coaching, including I coached basketball in the middle school last year. And with all the experience I have as a coach, I'm still conditioned to be afraid of you. When I get an email from one of you or a text from one of you, my conditioning after 35, 36 seasons of coaching is that if you email me or text me, you're going to blast me about something, right? Like very rarely does a parent email me and say, "Hey, thanks for helping us through that match. That was a really tough match and there were some tough things going on. I thought you did a nice job with that." Very rarely does someone say, "Hey, thanks for communicating well on the schedule. It really means a lot to me." Hey, thanks for, working through that challenging official without losing your patience. That was really cool. Um, I just want you to know, like we're trying to do our best. There's a million things happening all the time, and whatever your singular focus is, ours is not singular that way. And so it's just a challenge. And I can just tell you that even though we're Grand Rapids Christian, we do a pretty darn good job in our middle school over the last few years of really supporting coaches' well-being, encouraging. Um, but we have to change the conditioning that people feel. So many people that came before you have broken a lot of coaches. We don't have a lot of people. Hiring 18 coaches this year was one of the hardest things I've had to do. I've never had to hire that many coaches for volleyball. And I can just tell you the reason we're lucky enough to do that is because most of the time you guys are super kind to our coaches, right? Just like you want them to have grace and patience with your child as they're learning this sport. I need you to remember that they're learning to coach too. They're not experts, they're not professionals. They're learning to coach and they're trying to do their best. And so have grace and patience with them, just as you expect a coach to have with your child. And so they also need encouragement, just like your child needs a lot of encouragement. Your coach needs encouragement. Um, and so please make sure that you're surprising them with kindness. It goes a really, really long way when you do that. So number one, be grateful for them. Most of you didn't contact me about wanting to coach this year, or you don't have the expertise to coach, or it doesn't fit in your schedule or something like that. But these people it did. And so I want you to be grateful for them that they're willing to give so much of their time and energy to try to care for your child. Start with trust. I tell them to trust you. That's a big ask. Like I said, our conditioning is kind of screwed up as coaches that we're kind of fighting parents. Like we're afraid that they're going to always be mad at us and judge us and be angry. Um, and it often, isn't necessarily the case. So start with trust. And I encourage you to trust the coach. Uh, your child will have a story. Um, and I'm pretty sure it's not the whole story, right? Just like the coach has a story, and there's more to that story. So as you think about trust, make sure that you remember that my little girls that are 8 years old now can get me to believe the wrong thing about the other twin pretty easily. And I realize it's not the whole story. The second I'm quick to believe my one daughter over the other before investigating. And if an 8-year-old can do that to me in my job, I'm pretty sure that your seventh or eighth grader can do that to you when it comes to this volleyball thing this year. So just remember, trust the coach, this person that is choosing to give up their time and energy to manage this process and love your child. Trust them and give them the opportunity, give them the benefit of the doubt, right? work with them and ask them lots of questions. If you have challenges, you're not to talk to them about playing time or strategy or why my child isn't starting or why this child is playing more. That's not a conversation you're going to get to have with Grand Rapids Christian coaches from 5th to 12th grade. So I just encourage you not to mess with that now. If your child doesn't get the minimum playing time, that's something that I want to know about so I can confront the coach about that. But if you have questions about practices or things that are challenging or anything like that, practice times, you can ask them. Also, treat them like humans. I love when people ask me about my family, about the things I'm interested in. I'm not just a coach, I'm a person. So there's literally a million things to talk to your coach about that aren't playing time and strategy. If others come to you about coach, none of you like to be talked about behind your back. And so don't engage that conversation. Hey, did you see code this and this and this? And oh yeah, I saw that. Right? You get into that world, it feels good, but it's not good, right? It's more important to be effective than to be right. And so I encourage you, if someone comes to talk to you about coach, the best thing you can say is, did you talk to coach about that? What did coach say when you asked him about that? And kind of point them back in the direction of what the Bible is telling us about. If you have an issue, go to that person directly and do it in a positive way and start there. Typically, between that situation and working with me, we can find a good solution. So please, make sure as you approach coach that you never do it after a game. If you do it after a game, you'll hear from me in short order because I coach them to tell me if you do that. If they do come up to them with some kind of complaint last year, we had a couple things happen. And even when well-intentioned by a parent, it never comes off that way to a coach, right? We have 1,000 things going on in our head. Don't approach them with a big thing right before or after practice. Set a time down the road to connect with them, right? And oftentimes, I'll tell you as a parent myself, when I just remind myself to wait, is this really a big enough deal that I need to push into this? Sometimes after a day or two, it feels like it is, and I do. But sometimes it's not. And so just create space for yourself and for your coach and set a time so that people can do a good job with that meeting as well. Any questions about tryouts or how to work well with coach or anything like that? Okay. Spectators, there is a fee at all the Graciac events. It's $3 across the board for seniors or adults. Kids are always free. But what I wanted to remind you of is I'll never ask you for money to support Grand Rapids Christian Middle School athletics. The money that we make hosting events at our school, and we host a lot of them, goes directly to the program. It's why we always have great volleyballs, great basketballs, all the equipment we could possibly need. We have up-to-date uniforms. We're able to get things changed because that is happening. You guys are paying $3. So as you pay your $3, it can be annoying. I see people coming up with change. I see people that have fun with it and get a bunch of $2 bills before the season starts just for fun to put $2 bills in. But as you do that, just know you're contributing to Grand Rapids Christian Middle School athletics. I'll never ask you for money. We'll never do a fundraiser. None of those things. When you come and enjoy your child's game, that's supporting the program in so many ways. Please, as you approach those, make sure that you know there's going to be a fee and that the fee goes to a good cause. Conduct, we represent Grand Rapids Christian as fans. Not only do we represent as parents, like we talked about in the way we interact with these coaches, I can tell you that we have 18 volleyball coaches and 12 of them are not Grand Rapids Christian employees or graduates. So you have 12 people who are getting their first Grand Rapids Christian experience. And we want those coaches to have a good experience. Just like when we go to gyms, they get an experience of Grand Rapids Christian. Now, people tell stories about our school. Not all of them are true. Most of them aren't. And so what we do get to do, we have to control the things we can control. And that's the way that we are in those moments, in those gyms, with those officials, the way we cheer or don't cheer for people. And so it's important that you be, in my opinion, positive or encouraging with our kids, of course, but also with other kids. Don't cheer against people. We tell our Eagle Nation group, our student fans, don't cheer against people, cheer for us. And so this is not something we're just asking you to do. We're trying to teach a generation of kids It's about positivity, right? Enjoyment and excitement, and be grateful. As you go to gyms, we want people to say, "Oh man, Graham's Christian's here today. It's good having them in the gym." Right? As an AD, I know what school I don't want in my gym. It's really easy for me to know which school, which student athletes, which parents from that school I don't want in my gym. And I don't want people to have that feeling about us. It's not a great look for GRC if we have that reputation. So do your best to change that. Change the conditioning people might have, change the conditioning coaches have by the way that you work with them. Um, and then remember to have fun, right? Like this is all about fun. It's not about scholarships. It's not about championships. It's not about trophies. It's about kids getting an opportunity to be active with their friends in school. It's unique. It's beautiful. We have club sports and it's not the same. I'm not saying anything about club sports, but I know it's not the same. So enjoy your kids. My pastor always talks about, man, you enjoy your kids, right? Like when they're trying something, when they're attempting something, when they're succeeding, when they're failing, enjoy what they're doing because it doesn't last forever. If you spend your time grousing about it or criticizing them or making them be perfect, you're going to wish you had that time back. So, my encouragement to you is have fun. We can tell our coaches, have fun. If the coaches and the parents aren't having fun, the kids definitely aren't going to have fun, right? We know that. And also, Christians should live with joy. Be people of joy and excitement, in my opinion, that we can just go and have fun with our kids and be excited about what they're doing. So as you go home, one of the best things that you can do is just say, "Hey, I enjoyed watching you play today. I loved watching you play," and let them take the next piece of the conversation. Don't follow it with, "So when you messed up that pass, or when it was 19-19 and you blew that serve, you didn't toss it high enough." Like as soon as we go into that mode, the kids kind of shut down and it stops being fun. Just tell them you enjoyed watching them play and see where they take it. You'll find that often they'll start talking to you about the sport. If you give them the space to think and the space to feel, they'll come back to you. And so that's my encouragement just from watching and being a parent myself, um, and listening to some of the student athletes that I get to coach saying, "What do you want your parents to do?" They just want you to enjoy their effort. So hopefully that's some good information for you to consider as we jump into this hard thing called youth sports in this new year. Coaches will send more detailed information to you. And the last thing I wanted to say was that question that came up in the last meeting was practice conflicts. If you have a conflict with a practice or something like that, make sure you communicate well with coach. If you're part of a club sport that is not our sport, make sure you're communicating that with coach when they email you so that they can consider that as part of, like, we don't want all the kids on a club sport to be gone the same day and then we don't have a team that day. They want to try to split those kids up when possible. So make sure you're communicating about that. So I I'm going to look through the chat here and see, but as I'm looking through there, if you have a question, you can unmute yourself and ask me a question or something I didn't cover. Can we get a Venmo option? The school does not have a Venmo account, so I don't know how that would work. We have to figure out a way to talk to, the central office about that, but we don't do that at the high school either. A prepaid card, I don't know how we would do that. I know the high school has passes you can buy, but those don't go towards middle school athletics, like I said, so that's why we pay the fee. And we don't use GoFan in the middle schools, and I know most schools do not. All of the schools except one have cash payments for the admissions. I think there's only one school that does card only. So I could pursue looking into a credit card swipe, like a Square, like iPad type thing, like a Square that you could scan. But that's not something we've had before, and we are starting to do that with our concession stands at the high school, um, and a little bit with admissions at the high school. Other questions? Anybody else have a question about anything with the program or tryouts or getting started or when information's coming your way or anything like that? Okay. Well, I appreciate it very much. Thank you for coming tonight. If you have questions, y'all have my email. Most of you know where I live too, and some people stop by and ask me questions. So I'll see you around. When I see you in the gym, please say hello. I love meeting all of you and talking to you about what's going on. So I look forward to seeing you soon, and have a great night.